Langston Hughes. Walking past a wall of words, Braxton spotted Langston Hughes speaking with a fellow. "I'm going to focus on writing my poems," Langston Hughes said. "That doesn't sound like a long-term plan. What are you going to do to make money?" the fellow asked. "I'm going to write." "It's a lovely idea, but you can't make a living writing. That poetry magazine won't even print you." "Just because one magazine won't publish my work doesn't mean that others won't." With that, Langston Hughes continued his journey. Past a path of pins, Braxton followed Langston Hughes through a door and to a field. He was working with a man much older than him. "Langston, I'm not paying for you to go to college and write. You can do that at home." "I'm paying for you to be an engineer," the older man said. "But Dad, I'm not going to be an engineer. That would be a waste of money." "You need a real job, is all I'm saying, Langston." Langston Hughes sighed and continued pulling weeds from the garden without saying another word. After the weeds were all done, Langston Hughes continued his journey, and Braxton was right behind him. Langston Hughes opened a door to the deck of a ship. He laughed as he caught his balance on the moving vessel. It was a pleasant surprise. Langston Hughes pulled a rope and fetched crates as he muddled from end to end of the deck. He finally stopped to take a break on a worn brown crate. "Hey, Langston," a guy called as he approached Langston Hughes. "Hey, guy. I heard you write poems on the side. The boys and I would love to hear some." Langston Hughes laughed as he stood to his feet. "No, I am a seaman on the side. Writing is my first job." "That's a great idea, but everyone knows that writing is only for the few." The boys loved them, but most people don't want to hear stories like yours. They want to hear something that takes them away from everyday problems, not tell them about everyday problems. "You may have a point, but that's what I like to write about. I can't ignore what I see every day." Langston Hughes ended his break. Braxton followed him back through the door that they had come in. Dressed in different clothes, Langston Hughes sat at a desk reading a newspaper. He smiled at the paper. Braxton went to read it as well. There was a picture about a play on Broadway. The words on the image read, "Mulatto on Broadway," written by Langston Hughes. Braxton also noticed the two books on the desk in front of Langston Hughes. Each book was also written by him as well. Now Braxton understood why Langston Hughes was so happy. He was doing what he always said that he would do. The voice from nowhere resounded. "Langston Hughes believed in himself when others didn't. He went on not only to write poetry, but also plays, magazine stories, and essays. Now it's your turn. Your adventure, should you choose to accept it, is to think of how you can believe in yourself when no one else does." This should have been easy for Braxton. He knew that he didn't believe in himself enough. Almost anyone could change his mind about anything. His brother was the reason he thought he couldn't climb that tree. Braxton had always thought people that believed in themselves did so because they had proof that it would work. He had no proof that he really knew the answers, so it was easy for him to change his mind. Surely, if someone else told him differently, they must know the answer. He thought about wanting to make an A on his math test. His mom always said she didn't expect him to be good at math because she wasn't good at math. His brother never made good grades in math, so he thought maybe he wasn't good either. He never thought that he could really feel like he was good at something without proof. Maybe if he actually tried harder. Maybe if he asked his teacher for help when he really didn't know the answer. Braxton saw himself doing extra problems until he knew the answer. He could see himself looking for help online for tips too. His friend was really good at math. Maybe he could ask for help. "Congratulations," the voice from nowhere said. "Your confidence awards you the next level." There was only one door for Braxton to walk through, so he walked in. Conclusion. Braxton was in the living room that he thought he had walked into so long ago. He looked at the red couches, white curtains, and large TV that were his. He looked around to make sure nothing was out of the ordinary. He plopped onto his couch to make sure it was real. It was. Resting in the palm of his hand was the coin, the greatest Hall of Fame. It was an exciting journey to see people learn to deal with their problems. Braxton saw that there were other people who had a hard time doing the things they loved. They learned how to keep trying, even when others thought they couldn't do it. Braxton wanted that to be him. When he imagined himself doing great things, he actually felt like he could really do those things. It made him feel like he had already reached the goal, even though he had yet to try. Braxton knew the greatest Hall of Fame was indeed a great journey, but he thought it was a journey on the outside. After finishing the greatest Hall of Fame, he finally knew that the journey was more of an inside journey. He had to look within himself to find the courage he needed to do the things that he wanted to do. Braxton was nervous because he knew that meant he had to do the rest of the journey alone. He wasn't really afraid though, because after looking inside of himself, he knew that he could do it. He no longer needed the coin. He'd do just like the little girl at the park did and find someone else to give it to. Someone else can go on the journey with the greatest Hall of Fame, just like he did. They would go on the journey and discover themselves. Who knows what they would find?